Search for Nancy Guthrie. We do know 3 people were detained. Police activity could be seen 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, and local police and several unmarked vehicles, including forensics and SWAT teams, could be seen gathering.
Only minutes ago, new attention turned back to the FBI investigation into Nancy Guthrie, and the focus is once again on her home. What investigators found inside was not dramatic, but it was deeply unsettling. No broken doors, no signs of chaos, just quiet details that did not feel right. Details that made the FBI return, look again, and then grow silent. When federal agents stop talking, it usually means something has been uncovered, something that changes the whole case. What exactly did the FBI find inside Nancy Guthrie's home that made everything shift? Join us to find out. She went to sleep safe, then vanished by morning. The tale of Nancy Guthrie starts in a manner that exudes peace, coziness, and normalcy, which is what makes it disconcerting. Initially, nothing about the evening she went missing appeared out of the ordinary. There were no red flags, no disorder, just a serene night like countless others before it. Nancy enjoyed the evening with her loved ones. The atmosphere was calm and harmonious. They had dinner as a family and engaged in playful activities. The sound of laughter echoed throughout the room in a warm and comforting manner. No one recalled any disagreements afterwards. Her voice did not betray any signs of sorrow or apprehension. The environment was free of any stress or conflict. It was the type of evening that leaves a lasting impression of tranquility, a memory that stays with you because everything went right. Nancy was brought home just before 10 p.m. that night, with the confirmation of this fact by law enforcement. The notable aspect is the withholding of information on the driver's identity. The absence of this disclosure is significant. In investigations of this nature, every aspect is scrutinized, and withholding a detail typically indicates its importance according to the investigators. Upon Nancy's return, everything appeared normal in her house. She refrained from seeking assistance from others, and there were no signs of commotion. The lack of any alarming sounds or disturbances did not cause concern among the neighbors. The evening passed peacefully without any apparent issues. This is the impression left by the events of the night. By dawn, Nancy had disappeared. Investigators had hoped to uncover answers when they entered the house, but they were met with even more mysteries. The lack of forced entry, broken doors, or shattered windows perplexed them. The absence of any signs of struggle made the silence of the house seem eerie. In cases involving missing individuals, signs of damage and disorder typically offer clues, but there were none to be found in this instance. The lack of evidence only served to heighten rather than alleviate their concerns. When a person vanishes from their residence without any signs of disturbance, investigators are prompted to reassess their assumptions. It may indicate foresight. It may indicate a level of intimacy. It may indicate a situation where dread was not given the opportunity to manifest. Such silence frequently indicates a meticulously orchestrated or deeply meaningful event. Initially, the situation was considered a missing persons case, but that label was quickly dismissed. The FBI promptly entered the picture, indicating that there were underlying factors beyond just a routine local incident. When federal agencies get involved, it suggests there are potential issues regarding trends, communication, or conduct that demand a more thorough investigation. The residence was inspected by agents who gathered belongings and meticulously recorded each aspect. Following this, an unexpected event occurred. The home was cleared and subsequently revisited, a rare occurrence in investigations. Reopening a crime scene typically only occurs if new details alter the perspective of the case. The return to the residence indicated that there were inconsistencies during the initial investigation that needed to be addressed. The sequence of events posed a significant challenge in the investigation. Nancy didn't disappear gradually, but rather suddenly, within a short span of time. This limited time frame holds great significance. It suggests that whoever was responsible had precise timing, or that Nancy left willingly, without sensing any danger at that moment. Investigators are discreetly considering the option of a voluntary departure, altering the entire course of the investigation. The interpretation of evidence, suspects narrowing, and prioritization of important questions are all affected by this. The absence of any signs of forced entry would be particularly unsettling if she did not leave voluntarily. Prior to the issuance of ransom notes and media attention, prior to the desperate appeals from family members, there was an event inside the house that transformed a typical evening into the commencement of a federal inquiry. Nancy is frequently associated with the tranquility of that particular evening. She cherished moments spent with her family and felt at ease as she retired for the night. She led a cautious life, steering clear of risky situations. Therefore, her sudden absence is perplexing, as it contradicts the peaceful life she had cultivated and the persona she had established. Her lack of presence created a silent void, echoing in the space. An empty chair. A morning devoid of her presence. The calmness of her house stood out as the most noticeable hint for investigators. Silence in such instances can be a powerful communicator. It indicates to investigators that there was no sense of urgency in the events that occurred. It suggests that trust may have been a contributing factor. It also hints that the truth lies within serenity, rather than chaos. This case started small, but then escalated. Why? Let's find out. When the FBI stepped in once the FBI got involved, the trajectory of this case took a subtle yet impactful turn. Federal entities don't typically intervene in missing persons cases without cause, especially not so early on. Their involvement suggests that there is more to the situation than meets the eye, something irregular about the vanishing. With Nancy Guthrie's case, this change occurred swiftly, altering the perspective on every aspect moving forward. Initially, the situation appeared peaceful at face value. It started with a disappearance report and a tranquil residence. There were no indications of any violent behavior, no disturbances, and no one present to witness anything. However, tranquility doesn't always equate to safety. From the perspective of experienced investigators, a sense of calm can indicate a sense of manipulation. The intervention of the FBI was not due to the presence of clear answers, but rather because there were too many uncertainties in a very precise manner. Federal intervention can indicate the presence of organization in a case, instead of chaos or coincidence. When someone vanishes from their residence without evidence of forced entry or a fight, and in a brief time frame, investigators take notice. These circumstances do not appear accidental. They hint at precision, order, and purpose. The FBI is skilled at identifying these indicators promptly. Nancy's situation carried significant importance due to the time frame involved. She was seen to be safe at night, but by the next morning she had disappeared suddenly. The quick disappearance within a short period of time sparked immediate worry. It implied that the person responsible either had knowledge of when to make their move, or that Nancy left willingly in a situation that didn't seem threatening at the time. Both scenarios are troubling and need to be approached with caution. The FBI's prompt response was also motivated by the need to address communication issues. Once ransom messages emerged and were shared with the media, it fell under federal jurisdiction. Any communication that extends across state boundaries, utilizes technology, or employs strategic messaging goes beyond local concerns. It escalates into a bigger issue that demands the resources and power of multiple agencies. The handling of information shifted following that incident. The frequency of updates decreased, and the level of detail provided was reduced. This lack of communication was intentional, not accidental. When investigators suspect an ongoing situation, they are cautious with what they release to the public. Revealing too much information can weaken their position and limit their options. In situations involving potential ransom or negotiations, maintaining silence is not a sign of indifference, but a way to safeguard interests. The remarkable thing was that the FBI didn't just offer help and then leave. They remained on the scene, collaborating with local police officers. They thoroughly and systematically searched Nancy's residence. They gathered objects and recorded details. They scrutinized what was there, and equally crucially, what was missing. Federal investigators do not seek drama when they enter a home after someone goes missing. Instead, they look for deviations from the usual. Each home reveals a narrative of everyday life, showing how the inhabitant lives and interacts with their environment. The key is to grasp this ordinary pattern before identifying anything out of place. Doors and windows are quickly inspected, and locks are checked. However, the true focus is on the overall atmosphere of the space. The positioning of lights, furniture, and personal items is carefully observed for any disturbances. These subtle details may not be obvious at first glance, but they are significant indicators to experienced individuals. Investigators often consider whether a person seems to have departed hastily or not at all as a crucial inquiry. The presence of shoes near the door, a phone plugged in for charging, and untouched medication may not be flashy hints, but they hold significant weight. These simple observations can provide insights into whether the individual had a premeditated plan to leave, was unexpectedly disrupted, or had no intention of going anywhere. In situations where there is no apparent conflict, worry tends to increase instead of decrease. Quietness might indicate comfort. It could imply that the individual who came into the house was not perceived as a danger. Alternatively, it could indicate that there was no conflict inside the house to start with. In any case, it indicates a lack of randomness and leans towards a relationship. Investigators are also searching for evidence of manipulation. A pristine room might raise as many red flags as a chaotic one. If everything appears perfectly in order, it could indicate an attempt to manipulate the situation. Manipulation creates its own distinctive imprint. Lack of presence plays a crucial role as well. Whether it be a lost key, a misplaced gadget, or a piece of clothing gone astray, the absence of even a single object can significantly alter the course of an investigation. A void signifies activity, purpose, and signifies that events unfolded beyond the confines of the residence. Investigators were perplexed in Nancy's household, not by a single shocking revelation, but by the consistent pattern of things that defied explanation. Despite everything appearing typical, her disappearance remained a puzzling mystery. Such eerie stillness is cause for concern. The FBI adheres to stringent guidelines when handling a residence. Items are not taken out without careful consideration. Each item is photographed, documented, and ranked in order of importance. The intention is for this procedure to be carried out only once. This is why subsequent visits are crucial. A revisit indicates a significant alteration has occurred. Nancy's residence went through a series of steps, being initially handled, let go, and eventually looked into again. This scenario is uncommon, and typically occurs due to a specific cause. It occurs when fresh data prompts investigators to rethink what they initially deemed insignificant. Information may not always immediately disclose its significance. Occasionally, its importance only becomes apparent once other connections start to emerge. Investigators will revisit old locations when digital records, timestamps, and behavioral inconsistencies are linked. This prompts them to reassess and explore further by asking additional questions. The ongoing involvement of the FBI implied that the focus of the case had shifted from locating Nancy to uncovering the instigator behind the events. This change in focus was crucial, indicating that investigators suspected potential danger and a hidden motive driving the silence. The true meaning of the return. The return was peaceful and calm, devoid of any fanfare or attention. The investigators arrived quietly, without any grand entrance or public statements. Their decision to return without explanation